I'm going to have a sip of scotch before I begin. I wasn't sure if it would be water or scotch. Number 5. Mama, where does the ocean come from? I'd teach you, he taught me, not oceans, but lifetimes. We met at a conference. I flew home the next day. He gave me a lift in his rusting truck. In the holders for coffee were cores of apples, 2 of them, a pair of hunger perched and sitting side by side. I strapped my belt. He looked in the rear view, a man at the wheel, till he fumbled his keys. Are you sure you have my number? He asked. Mama, where does the ocean come from? We live in Berkeley, a little house, a little life. It wasn't mine, my life was yours, but you escaped, so I wrote books. You love the marina just like your dad. He used to run each afternoon. Now he owns dogs. I'll swim to China, you would have said. You'd point to the sea and kick your legs. Whatever you want, he would have replied. And he would have meant it. He's fierce that way. He's loyal. I killed him. Tracy Chapman sits on a stool and sings a song. Her voice is mournful, or maybe it's me. The car is fast. He drove a truck. I climbed aboard and spotted the apples. I felt the temptation to sneak the fruit, to place its curve against my lips. There was a moment. Maybe we could have. He held my hand but didn't speak. I turned toward him. He was watching the screen. She sat on a stool. No one was crying, not even the babies. The carpet was green. The children were reading with mothers and aunts, all except one boy who stared at us, a heavy gaze. Each time I glanced in his direction, that boy was still staring. The ceiling was low. The boy was alone. We were given a number, like at a deli. But how is the ocean made? I always forget the tenacity of children, single-minded, one thick root that's hard to hack, the snags of detail not yet formed. They scraped you out. They came and went, 1 man, 2 women, chatting. While I lay on the table, they say it's suction, but I felt scrape. Tenacious child, then the sound. I understand. I heard myself think it's the sound that's suction, a motor, a vacuum. It's almost as if I'm cleaning the kitchen. You make such a mess. I chuckle softly. I shake my head. I vacuum the crumbs as I talk to myself because you're not here. You're at the marina with your dad. Good thing, I think. Now I can tidy up in peace. But Mama, I'm sorry, sweetie. I know the answer. I shouldn't have waited. We met at a conference. He's such a great teacher. It's caused by collision. The comets and asteroids smashed into Earth. They were rich with water, or maybe it's caused by volcanoes. I'm going to read one more piece. Before I do, I want to thank Jay and Hazel Millar for taking a risk on my writing, and without you, I would not have this career. You've essentially allowed me to have this life, and that's a gift. Thank you. I also want to thank Ruth Zuchter for her copy edits and Kate Hargreaves for her just beautiful work with layout and design. David Goldstein, my editor, who allowed me to reach a different level with my writing that I could not have attained otherwise. And finally, Catherine Mellinger, whose collages were not only the inspiration for the book and gave me the aesthetic and the texture, but her support throughout the process and her encouragement and her talent really sustained me through this process, through some dark times in writing this book. And 9 of her pieces, including the cover, are included in the work. So I'm going to read one more, preceded by more scotch. And I'll just say, too, the book is about abortion, and it is about the oceans, but it's also, I think, like all of my work, it takes great pleasure in language. Language as the struggle between logic and rationality and physicality, as the place where we enact this struggle between our capacity for abstract thought, for creation of ethics, but also the fact of our desiring bodies, the fact of our animal appetites. And I think, as I said, in many ways, that's what every book I write is about, that struggle. Number 8. We were young and in love, a cliche that's true. Like liquid sunshine through my veins, young love can't mean anything while you're in it. Then you've left it exiled into middle age. From here I can know, but I'll never sense, not anymore. I'm banned and barred from ever re-entering youth, innocence, ignorance. Time, I now know. Time is an erosion. In the interim, you had the 3 fetuses. None was born. Each was fed by hope so rich with blood, but in the end, the marriage couldn't survive the death. In the interim, I had 2 children, got married, divorced, wrote 5 books. I spent exceeding years alone. Life dredged me dry, but I kept flooding, pen like depths, abyss of the ocean. Inside my bed I found a carcass, gnawed its bones. When dreams got bad, my son would amble. Climb on in. I'd lift the blanket, give him room. We drifted, anchored, safe with each other. The smallest bodies balance the oceans, plankton, algae, tiny toddler baby boy who needs his mom in times of heave. But that was many years ago. Now he's adolescent. His dreams are wet. The voice from his mouth is an animal thing. It's a wolf. He is sheepish. He's not yet familiar. When you were his age, your father died. But that's a lurch of time and tides, and this is supposed to be stratifying. After the interim, you arrived at my door. You invited me in, then you slowly disrobed me. I sipped my wine, I held your gaze defiant to protect my shame. It's 17 years. It's the gap, the grief. You reach across, you're reaching to touch me, return me to an older sensation. Time exists here, all at once, but only as our aging bodies. Now, I briefly know. Thank you.